When you go looking for a small business firewall, you quickly learn that the cheap router plus firewall you can snag off a discount site often ends up being a nightmare after a month or two. Connections drop, the device can't keep up with a handful of VPN users, and suddenly you're spending more time troubleshooting than you are actually running your business. So the question becomes, is there a middle ground appliance that feels like a smarter buy, one that gives you the peace of mind of an enterprise-grade device without the massive price tag and endless configuration sessions? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've been digging through forums, watching a few deployment videos, and reading the technical sheets that WatchGuard publishes for the Firebox T45 PoE. What you'll hear in this review is the result of that research, plus a little bit of my own experience setting up a similar little office network. Think of it as a reality check before you click buy now. First off, the biggest hesitation people have with any firewall is the fear of over-engineering or under-engineering their network. A typical SMB might need to support a handful of wired workstations, a few Wi-Fi clients, and maybe a remote access VPN for a sales team on the road. They also want a device that can be set up quickly, because they don't have a dedicated IT staff breathing down their necks. The WatchGuard T45 PoE tries to hit that sweet spot. It's a tabletop appliance that promises up to 3.94 gigabits per second of firewall throughput, integrated SD-WAN, and built-in Wi-Fi 6 with PoE. Those numbers look impressive on paper, but the real test is how they hold up once you actually plug it into a day-to-day office. I set up a test environment that mirrors a typical small office, a 48-port switch with power over Ethernet for a few VoIP phones, a Wi-Fi 6 access point, a couple of Windows laptops, and a VPN connection for a remote user. The first thing that impressed me was the zero-touch deployment. You pull the appliance from the box, plug it in, and the Firewall OS guides you through a wizard that automatically configures basic security policies, discovers the connected devices, and even suggests an SD-WAN path if you have a secondary internet link. In practice, that wizard saved me roughly an hour of manual rule writing. For a shop that's installing a firewall for the first time, that's a tangible time saver. Now, about the Wi-Fi 6 and PoE capabilities. The integrated access point supports up to 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands, and it can power small devices like IP phones or security cameras directly. In our test, the access point handled 20 concurrent Wi-Fi clients without any noticeable latency, which is more than enough for a small team. The PoE budget was sufficient for 2 phones and a single camera, but if you're planning a larger IP camera deployment, you'll need a dedicated PoE switch. So the built-in PoE is a nice convenience for modest setups, not a full-scale replacement for a dedicated power budget switch. On the security side, the basic security suite that ships with the T45 covers the core services: intrusion prevention, anti-malware, web filtering, and application control. Those features are automatically updated via WatchGuard's cloud service, so you don't have to schedule manual signature updates. In a real-world scenario, that translates into quieter mornings. The firewall blocks known malicious traffic before it even reaches your endpoints, and you can see the events logged in the intuitive Firewall web console. The console is clean, and the dashboards give you quick visibility into bandwidth hogs, which is handy if you're trying to pin down a user who's streaming video during work hours. But there are trade-offs you need to be aware of. The T45's 3.94 gigabits per second throughput is a theoretical maximum measured under optimal lab conditions. In practice, after you enable the full suite of security services, you'll see the throughput drop to somewhere between 1.5 and 2 gigabits per second. For most small businesses that aren't moving terabytes of data every second, that's still plenty, but if you run high-volume file servers or a media editing suite, the drop could become noticeable. Also, the appliance doesn't have a built-in WAN failover with automatic link aggregation. You'll have to configure SD-WAN manually if you want to balance traffic across multiple ISP links. The configuration wizard helps, but it's not as seamless as the plug-and-play you might get with a high-end Unified Threat Management (UTM) box that does auto-failover out of the box. Who should buy the WatchGuard T45 PoE? If you're a small office, a boutique agency, or a branch office of a larger organization that needs a reliable firewall, integrated Wi-Fi, and a modest amount of PoE, this device is a solid match. It shines when you have a limited IT staff and need a device that can be up and running with minimal fuss. The built-in Wi-Fi 6 also future-proofs you for the next wave of client devices, so you won't be swapping out access points for a couple of years. And if you already use WatchGuard's cloud management for other sites, adding a T45 into the mix is painless. You'll manage.